We're here in San Carlos at Flying Suitcase Winery, and I'm thrilled to introduce the owner, Anders Winther, who does this as a side business actually, or a hobby. And interesting name, beautiful winery. Can you tell us how it started?
Yeah, both my wife and I have always been very interested in wines. And when we moved to San Carlos, to California about 10 years ago, we started being more interested in all the California wines. And one of my friends is a really good winemaker. He's a fourth generation winemaker. And I was helping him out in his winery. And at some point he said, hey Anders, you should try and make your own wine. So I did, and that was a Sauvignon Blanc, and it tasted well, and we got an award for it. And then we went from a very small production to a bigger production, and then we've been doing that for about 5 years now. And last year we opened this tasting room here, which we're very happy to have.
Of course. So you did it initially at home? Is that how you did it?
We did it at other wineries.
Oh, I
see. We started out on Treasure Island, and then we made the wines at another winery here. Now we have the tasting room here. We got all our barrels. We got everything here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have a very unique tasting room, and I noticed the tables are all, you obviously chose those very carefully. Is there a story behind those?
No, just that we wanted it to be very flexible, easy to move things around, because we also do events. Depending on what type of event and how busy we are, we can move tables in and out in different configurations and so on. So, yeah. So,
talk to us about your wines. I don't know, do you have a particular favorite of your own?
Right now, I do actually have a favorite.
Do.
So we just have made or bottled our first blend, and I'll show you how that looks.
Good.
That's this one here. The funny story with that is that I was tasting an Italian wine, which was a combination of Sangiovese and Cabernet Sauvignon, and I thought it was really nice. And then came back here and tried from different blends in the barrels to make something that would be sort of similar. And so this is our first blend. This is 50% Cabernet Sauvignon and 50% Sangiovese. We call it Winemaker's Blend, and it's a very nice, easy, drinkable wine.
Now, do you submit your wines for many contests or competitions? There are
Not
so
that many, but we pick certain ones.
Sure.
So we usually submit to very specific ones. One that we just got a double goal actually is in the San Francisco Chronicle wine competition, which happens to be the world's largest wine competition for American wines. So we're very happy with this one. This is a Russian River Zinfandel that we just got the double goal for, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's called Wanderlust, or I say it.
Wanderlust, yeah.
Wanderlust, very nice.
Yeah.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about the tasting room itself. You're not open every day, or are you open every day?
We're open Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. Friday 5 to 9, Saturday and Sunday 1 to 5, and then events and so on.
Of course, special events.
When we have that, yeah, as well.
And you have a very unique twist to your winery. You have a special room that I've never heard of in another winery. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, my wife Vicky and I have a son, and when we were initially touring up in Napa, it was always a struggle for our son to come up there, because wine tasting with your parents is not always interesting.
A little boring for kids.
It's a little boring, yeah. So we decided to have a kids play area. So I think we're the only winery in the area that actually has a kids play area. Kids can play games, they can write on the wall. They can do all different kind of things, and it's in a separate part of the winery.
Do you let the adults write on the walls as well?
That they can do actually in the restroom.
Really?
Sometimes we check what has been written in the restroom. So we have 4 walls there where you can also write, and which is actually quite fun.
Oh, I'll bet that's fun. I don't know if that's PG enough for us to put on camera, but we might check it out. So what recommendations do you have for people who might not be wine experts, or, I mean, how do they learn to develop a good taste for good wines? How do they really learn? What would you suggest as a starting point for people?
I think the first thing is either you like a wine or you don't.
Right.
And the fun thing for us is that we meet so many different people in the tasting room, and some like this wine better than that wine, and vice versa. So it's I would say the first thing to do is look at the color, smell it, see what you think of that, and taste it, and whether you like it or not. And then it's always fun to think about what would this pair well with. What would it pair well with in terms of food? That's always interesting.
And I'm sure you can help people with that as well, right?
Yeah, we can do that. And the type of wines we make, They're all wines that we like.
Of course, you're smart.
I would say that the whites, we have Sauvignon Blanc and we have Chardonnay. Our Chardonnay is from Napa. And of reds, we're doing two styles. We're doing the traditional heavy California reds, and then we do a lighter style, which most of our Italian varieties are. So we do Sangiovese, Barbera, and then a little bit heavier Aglianico, and then we do the blends of these as well.
And I'm assuming you have wine club. Might as
Yes.
well get a plug in for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do people choose red or white, or do you choose? Or how does that work?
We have a wine club, and we call it the club class because everything with Flying Suitcase is about travel as
Yes.
in our marketing. So we say club class and come fly with us. You can sign up for either whites only, reds only, everything, or a little bit of a surprise, and that is what we decide.
I see. Okay.
And you get 3 shipments every year.
So that brings us to the name of the winery. How did you choose the name Flying Suitcase?
My accent is comes from where I was born in Denmark, and Hans Christian Andersen wrote lots of fairy tales, and he was originally from Denmark. One of his fairy tales is Flying Suitcase. So we wanted some connection to Denmark, and that's what we decided. And then after that, it was actually very easy. So what you'll see around in the winery here is lots of things related to travel.
Sure. So here we are in the winemaking room. I notice a lot of barrels. How much wine do you actually produce every year?
I produce about 1,000 cases
Wow.
every year, so 12,000 bottles. And the funny thing is, maybe some statistics, it's interesting to know, when you look at the barrels here, they don't necessarily look that big, but there's actually the equivalent of 300 bottles in one
Wow.
barrel. So you can add that up. That's a lot of wine. That's a
Yes,
lot of
so
wine.
I'm assuming you need a forklift or something to.
Yeah, I have a
move
forklift
things
to move
around.
things
I'm
around.
sure
Yeah,
of that.
yeah, it's very, very heavy. Yeah.
And so for local restaurants, if a local restaurant wants to carry your wine,
Yeah.
they would just contact you, right?
Well, yeah, either they contact us or we go out and have a meal and we sell our wines there. But
I see.
both ways work. And
Anything
we're in a
works.
lot of different restaurants here in St. Carlos as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you normally, I know you were talking about tasting from the barrel. Do you want to show us how that works? Or
Yeah.
may I hold
So
something
I'm
for
just
you while you do
I'm
it?
just taking the bong out here, and then this is called a wine thief. This one that we now are pouring in here is our 2016 Barbera. So 2016 Barbera is still a very young wine, so it's by no means ready. But what I do is I smell it, I taste it.
And how do you know when it's ready? I mean, how do you
Well, it's
just,
it's really about what I would like from the beginning. So the heavier wines we make, they usually will stay on the barrels for at least 2 years.
wow.
One we actually have for almost 3 years in the barrels. And that gives a lot more structure and body to the wine. This one, you can even see it on the color, that this is a light wine.
Yes.
It's a Barbera. Smells nice, but it still needs to develop. It's going to be a light wine, as you can taste. And that's the one style we do. So we do the lighter style, which is this one on neutral oak. And then we do the heavier, more usual California style, which is on newer oak.
It's amazing clarity too.
Yeah, and it's again, this was produced, or we harvested back in September, early September. And it will be ready most likely by the end of this year, because this is one of the lighter styles.
So it sounds like your grapes come from different areas. Any from Santa Cruz Mountains or primarily Napa and
I
Russian
make
River?
one white wine from Santa Cruz Mountains. This one, the Barbera, is from Amador.
Oh.
And Amador County is actually very good for Italian varieties, because the climate is very much like in Italy.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then the Cabernet Sauvignon comes from Rutherford in Napa.
Oh.
So that's a heavier style.
Right.
And more kind of the earthy
Right.
Rutherford dust, as it calls.
So the white wine that you make from the Santa Cruz Mountains is called, which wine is that?
It's a Chardonnay, which is a blend of that and Amador County, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
having us over
All
today.
right. Cheers.
Appreciate it.